Hey guys, so today I am in Minwear Woods in Pembrokeshire, and this is a place where we have an intersection between ancient woodlands and commercial forestry. In a matter of metres, we've got two completely different microclimates, shaped by the sunlight, the trees and the environment. So in Minwear Woods, they've actually started to manage the forest in allowing native species of tree to get hold and start populating the area again. They've started to reduce the number of single species, monocultures, i.e. conifers, and in their place they've been planting a number of native species of tree. And so right now it might not look particularly forestry like, but in 10 years it'll be better, in 50 even more so, and in 100 years time we will have a much more biodiverse and a much more recognisable forest for this climate area. And in fact it's just going to be better for everyone in the long run. So it'll be worth the wait. So this path has actually got a little bit more overgrown since I was last here. Still accessible, but I wasn't expecting it to be like this. It's actually a really nice day in early October in Pembrokeshire today. You can see the view. I do often like it in September and October in this area. It's nice to get out and about, appreciate the local area. So as you can tell, I'm entering a more dense section of the forest now. It's got a little bit darker, but still underfoot you can see at the level where I am, there is a lot of life on the forest floor. These trees are far enough apart to allow some light through, and essentially everything relies on energy from the sun. And so at this level, if it was too dark, there wouldn't be anything living down here. But in this deciduous forest, we have got a fair bit of greenery on the forest floor, and at different times of year that changes, of course. We get a lot of bluebells. I'll take you back here at some point when the bluebells are out. But just look behind me now, you can just see this is deciduous forest, and you can just see how dark it is compared to 5 minutes ago when I was walking out in the open. But as I said, we have got the forest floor, and it's not sparse by any means. It's quite densely populated with many varieties of plants. You can see just in this area right in front of me now, you've got a fair number of meters between trees, and you can see the shafts of sunlight coming through. So this allows the daylight to enter, and so it's a race for the top. When you're at the bottom of the pile, as we are now on the woodland floor, these plants are racing for the light. And so if there wasn't any, they wouldn't be here. So I am quite deep into the woods now, and I have noticed a large number of different plants, including some mushrooms. Of course, it is quite dark and perfect for a whole variety, not just plants but also fungus as well. And so let me just talk to you a couple of seconds about what this level is. So what powers it all is the producers, and by that I mean the plants. So whether it's the forest floor, the trees, or any plant anywhere in the world is a producer. It gets its energy from the sun, and we all benefit from that. So this is called a trophic level. So right at the bottom of the trophic levels we have got plants, and these are the producers. And so that energy gets passed through trophic levels. We have consumers, and we have herbivores which eat plants, omnivores which eat plants and animals, and we have carnivores as well. But through each step of the trophic levels there is energy lost. So there's an abundance of energy in this forest, but that energy will be lost through generation of heat and reproduction and movement in the next level, because obviously as an animal eats, it's not 100% efficient, and so the energy gets reduced from layer to layer, from level to level, should I say. And so on the next trophic level up there will be less energy, and the length of the number of trophic levels will depend on the amount of energy that's available. As we look up, you can see just how much energy there is in the canopy of the woodland, and so there is this competition for light, of course, but these up here have an advantage. So there is a lot of greenery and a lot of life up here. So while there is life at the forest floor, there is an abundance right above us. So if you think about this situation, we've got maybe a tree which might be a host for a caterpillar, and then that caterpillar will then be eaten by a bird, followed by maybe a bird of prey. And it probably won't go any higher than that, because actually that bird of prey will be the top carnivore in the area. But of course it's not as simple as a chain, a straight line chain. It's going to be more of a web, and there's a huge amount of interaction between different chains. What affects one thing affects the other. So imagine if you have a poor season, maybe a drought, that's going to affect the number of caterpillars, which in turn will affect the number of birds, which in turn will affect the number of, let's call them birds of prey. And so, and vice versa, if you have got a large population of birds of prey, then your songbirds are going to suffer, as are the foxes, for example, or other carnivores that eat those birds, because those numbers will decline and it has a knock-on effect. So what's really important to know is that there is also a lag time between populations and trophic levels. So if you have got an abundance of one thing that creates food for another, then that next thing, so imagine it is, let's just say grass, abundance of grass, going to create a lot of food for the rabbits. Okay, so there'll be a knock-on effect, there'll be a lag time, the rabbit population will increase, but as a result of that, so will the fox population, because those rabbits, plenty of food for the foxes, right? As the fox population increases, the rabbit population will then, after a period of time, decrease as well, and then we'll get a cycle, the cycle continues. So that's a little bit on trophic levels. The very base of the trophic levels, the very first level, is the producers. The whole thing relies on energy from the sun, and actually it's just amazing to think that how energy is passed from level to level to level. And so we as humans, we are outside of the food chain, and it's sometimes really easy to forget actually where we come from and what we rely on. So I've actually run out of breadcrumbs, and who knows if I'll get back all right. It's getting dark, and so we'll see. But it's a really nice evening for a walk, and by the way, I'm just joking about the breadcrumbs. What's quite cool to remember is that numbers don't tell the whole story in nature, and while I talked to you about the trophic levels and the amount of energy, it is true that the energy is always going to be higher lower down the trophic levels. So the consumers are actually going to have less energy as they go up each trophic level, because there is energy lost on each step. Because right at the bottom of the trophic levels are the producers, and this producer, in fact, is a tree, of course. But the reality is that one tree can be a host for thousands of other creepy crawlies, and while a pyramid might be a good description for the trophic levels and the amount of energy on each level, in fact, an upside down pyramid might be better for describing the pyramid of numbers, because while one tree might host 1,000 other creepy crawlies and insects, and that then might host, dozens or hundreds. When I say host, I mean feed dozens or hundreds of other birds, for example. So this will be actually a very top-heavy pyramid. So we have got only one tree, but that tree is very, very important because it is host to so many of the consumers that actually other consumers survive on and rely on. So one tree hosts thousands of insects, and those insects feed hundreds of birds, and so on. Well, generally speaking, we'll get very few top predators because, as I said previously, we will have a reduction in energy or a loss in energy between each trophic level. So as I approach the edge of the trees, Minwear Woods might give us the impression of one big woodland, but every step tells a story of how humans and nature shape the land together. These subtle boundaries, light, life and growth, make even a short walk through these woodlands a journey through geography. Thanks for joining me today, and thanks for watching my video. Just so you know, I'm Nico Valla. I am the physical geographer, and if you enjoyed this video and you enjoy exploring your surroundings, then please do join me again. Subscribe to my channel, and I will see you on the next video. Speak soon.